Well, hello there, my dear children of the apocalypse. How are we doing today? Average. You're average, me, I'm average, we're all average. I've always been average, honestly. Just everything I've ever done has been sort of an average. Until I found War Thunder. I found this online game, escaped from my reality, and I was one of the first people in the scene. I was relatively fresh. The game came out in I think it was November, December 2015 that the absolute beta version of it came out. And I started playing in February, March. And by the time of June 2016, I already had bought all these packs and I was just like, this is it, I'm committing to this. This is the next greatest thing. And I committed. And there's a wonderful thing that happens when you commit all your energy, all your effort, all your love, all your passion, all your drive into one thing. And I became above average, I thought. I became good at it. Started doing duels, started to spade everything. My goal was to be the greatest player of all time in this game, right? Because if everything else you've ever done in life, right, your love life is below average, it sucks. I had no women at the time. I wasn't doing anything unique in school, so I think I was just plain average. I wasn't particularly muscular, I wasn't particularly skilled, I didn't speak English the way I do today, and so I thought, you know what, fuck it. Video game, all my effort into it, let me be the greatest War Thunder player of all time, right? And then I was on this forum thread at one point, and this was during all the drama, and I was being quite of an ego boy or whatever, and somebody said, oh, Orange, he's just average. And I've always been good at handling insults, because I tend to sort of twist them around and just use them, right? I thought, yeah, I am average, right? Because I thought War Thunder such a vast game, from planes to tanks to ships to helicopters to whatever the hell they're adding now. I thought if you're average at everything in that game, then you're actually really good, right? Because most people, they're average at one of those things, but you're average at all of them. That would make you above average in the general sense. But it's a bit painful. I want to read something for you here. It's very short, but ask yourself the following question. If I accept average advice from average people who live average lives, can I be anything other than average? I heard that in a video from a YouTuber called Hamza. And those of you who don't know Hamza, you should check him out because he's one of the pioneers of the self-improvement journey. And when I heard those words, and I think they're from a book, I think the guy's called DeMarco. Not entirely sure. I haven't gotten to those books yet because I've got a list of other ones. But the quote stayed with me, right? It almost combines with that, adage of you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So if you hang out with average people who give you average advice, that's all you're ever going to be. That's all you're ever going to attain. And I feel dumb now for having ever in War Thunder said or settled for the title average, because I wasn't average. I was the first person to unlock everything in the game, to spade everything in the game. I was one of the very few people that managed to do that multiple times. I ran a YouTube channel which was moderately successful. I participated as a commentator on Thunder League Season 1. I developed an accent. I still get comments today from people who are like, oh my God, are you from England? I've never been to England. I've never been to England, America, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, any country where English is spoken as a native language. I've never been to it. I'm from Slovenia. Most of you don't even know where the fuck that is. So to have accomplished that, I think that, by no means in any shape, way or form is average. That is excellence, right? That's mastery. I mean, in some way, as I've spoken in the how my gaming addiction saved my life video, I became a master at War Thunder. I put 10,000 hours into this bloody miserable game, and yet I was prepared to satisfy myself with the title average. Now, when I say all these things, I don't mean that average is bad. In fact, I think below average is sometimes just fine, because we cannot excel at everything, right? One problem guys deal with is they're short. And if you're short, you can't really change that. If you're skinny, you can change it. If you're fat, you can change it, right? If your hairstyle is bad, you can change it. You see, what the world teaches you, what I've been taught my entire life, what I've listened to, and why this quote of receiving advice from average people is something that resonates so much with me, is because that's all that's ever going to be. You have people who have not worked on their body, for example, right? Somebody who's not invested time and effort and used the model of delayed gratification to get to a point where he feels stronger, and he actually is stronger. The truth is that we live in a world where the average person is giving out the average advice. This quote resonates with me because nobody's doing the work, it seems, and everybody is content with being average. And it's in their best interest that you also stay average. It's almost like a subconscious thing where if one person starts to put too much effort into themselves, he starts becoming, too oriented in business, or too successful, or too muscular, or too masculine, that's a bad thing. They start deviating from the average, therefore it's bad. I think average has become this sort of populace, this idea that the entirety of the world has to be average. We all have to be exactly the same. We all have to, dress and do the same boring 9-to-5 work, and we all have to live happy lives, even though everybody's miserable, everybody's broke, nobody's got cash for food. What's the point then? All for what? All for instant gratification. But I thought about it, and it makes sense. Let's say you have a friend, right? And you and your friend, you're average, right? You're average in business, you're average with women, you're average with, right? You're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And then one of these people starts to get better. He starts to date lots of women, he starts to get really muscular, he starts to get really successful in his business. And his friend is like, whoa, you've changed. It's like, yeah, I have. Why haven't you? Why is it that I am striving for that next level, and I'm constantly moving up, and I'm constantly looking ahead, and I'm constantly hustling, and you're content with average? You're content with the short intensity of the instant gratification. You are telling me that you want me to be more like average. And that's what starts happening in life. People start, climbing the social ladder. They start escaping this so-called matrix. They start getting out there, doing things, enjoying them, actually attaining happiness. Not the short one, the long-term happiness, fulfillment. And the rest of the world almost has this crabs in a bucket mentality. If you don't know about the crabs in a bucket, it's a brilliant concept, because it's not even a concept, it's just how it works. You take a bucket, you put a bunch of crabs in it, and they'll try to crawl out. And what tends to happen is that they'll go, and one of them will almost reach the end. He's almost free, he's almost out there. He's like, Batman in The Dark Knight Rises, where he's climbing out of that, hole, except that the rest of the crabs, they pull him back in, right? Because if we are all average, then you must remain average. We don't want you to succeed. We don't want you to get better. We don't want you to change your life. You're wrong. You're weird, right? This is bad. What you're doing is bad. You should. Why are you not content with happy? Why can't you just be average? What's wrong with that? Just get a regular job. Just do a regular thing. And I'm convinced that that is what the Matrix wants from you, from us, from everybody, to just contend with average in everything. They don't want you to succeed. They don't want you to be more fulfilled and happier and reach those higher levels. And to that I say, fuck it. Go and hustle. Go and do that thing. Chase those dreams that everybody else tells you are not possible. In fact, where I was usually dissuaded, where I was usually, I'm an idealist, and I have a very vivid imagination. You put me into a room, I could, with a bunch of whiteboards, I could just come up with millions of ideas, from businesses to theories to hypotheses. I'm full of ideas. I'm always springing ideas, and I realized that when I was presenting these ideas to people, the vast majority of them would just turn them down. They'd say, "Oh, yeah, but it won't work because it won't work, and because of this, and because and it won't work," and it dissuades you. You come into the room, you come to the person thinking, I'll get some motivation, I'll get some passion from them, I'll get some of that, you can do it, I'm here with you. If you need help, you can reach out to me, I can do that part of it, I'll help you choose the color for the website, whatever. And they don't. The vast majority of the people that I've reached out to, that I've talked about, where I've presented my ideas, 99% of them would just be like, yeah, no, it won't work. You know, it has. No, somebody else has tried it already. It's not going to work. What do you know? I mean, that is in essence all that the future is. Who's to say what will or will not happen in the future? You don't believe me? You can go back years, you can go back decades, you can go back centuries, you can go back millennia, and you'll always find people with new intricate ideas, innovators, businessmen, right? The genius, the masterminds. None of them are average. None of them. And yet I bet you that the majority of people they pitched their ideas to turned them down. And we're like, yeah, this isn't going to work. What, you want to make a car? Nah, it's not going to work. You want to make a thing that's going to fly like a bird? Nah, it's not going to work. And what separated those people from the rest, what separated them from the average, wasn't that they were somehow superhuman. Wasn't that they were somehow smarter than everybody else. But what they had was a tenacity to say no. What they had was the balls, their cojones, to go out there and seek, venture, try, fail, and get back at it. To leave you with this video, I just want to say the following. The master has failed more times than the apprentice has even tried. Take care and safe flying.